wish there was an overlay for this part. Now our YouTube audience just seeing us awkwardly stand here. But hello and welcome, Star Wars fans, to this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks, the show where we debate takes so hot that they melt a planet with twin suns. My name is Brody. I'll be hosting this week's episode. My amazing co-host Amanda and Christian, as we attempt to discover what story is truly the best from a galaxy far, far away. This week's episode, we're going to be discussing Link and Hot Take from Andor Season 1, Chapter 11, The Daughter of Ferrix. By the end of this episode, we'll have a definitive answer on where this piece of Star Wars content ranks amongst the rest. And with that said, let's get this show started. Y'all, I'm back.
He's back.
I heard how y'all were dogging me last week.
Thanks for doing that intro, though.
Said I hated the show, hated the episode. Didn't hate the episode, just didn't like it as much as either of you two did. That's okay, last week's episode. But this week, I'm back. And this week, I did the intro.
You did. Thank you for doing that.
That's all I'm doing today.
No.
That's all you get from me.
No.
That's all you get from me. I really don't have a whole lot to say about this this episode. Amanda, what was it about?
It was kind of a filler episode, if we're being honest.
Don't tell the pod ones what Amanda just said.
No, this
It's a
episode
good setup.
this episode did set up for what will be the final episode next week, because there are never more than 12, as we've learned from this series.
Never more
So,
than 12.
Episode 11 has Melshi and Andor making it out of the prison alive and now going through the hoops to try to get back to Neamos so Andor can pick up his credits and his identity. Meanwhile, so we see Saw Gerrera again, Luthen,
No Bo Gullet.
but Norbo, no
No
Bo
Bo
Gullet.
Gullet.
No
No
mo.
Bo Gullet.
No Bo
Gullet.
Gullet.
No mo.
And then we also see Mon Mothma and her cousin Vel discussing how shitty of a mom she is for giving her daughter up. But that's the price of the rebellion. And her daughter is now, I don't know, into like old school, like Old Testament Chandrillian tradition, I guess.
She's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Everyone was like, where did this come from? Not her
Bring
father,
in the
not her
goats for
mother.
blood sacrifices.
So this episode was like a little bit everywhere, but I didn't feel like there was a lot of like story moving forward. Technically. Oh, I guess the big thing is that Marva died. I should probably mention that. That was like the main point of the
Yes.
episode, which seems like it we never actually saw Marva. It almost feels like, was she like written off?
It's tragic.
Yeah, we didn't see her last words or her dying breath, but we did see how she left B2 Emo
Mhm.
behind, and it broke his mechanical heart.
Mhm.
Did.
It broke mine too.
Didn't break nothing for me because I didn't
was
feel
dark.
anything this episode.
Nothing.
Even when he was like, I don't want to be alone.
He's a droid. He's not sentient. As far as I'm concerned, he's just an
Not
overglorified
this again.
a coffee table for me.
Wow.
He's shaking that cup.
What's he do? He's just cute.
Yeah, what is his function?
That's what I'm saying. What does he do?
I have been wondering what the utility was. Well, he
a
did
coffee
something
table.
for Andor early on, right? In the first episode or
You
two.
put your drinks
He's
on.
like handing him something.
A
but
mobile end table.
It
Yes.
It did make me love what's his name, Brasso,
Brasso.
that much more. I
Yeah.
really like that guy.
I was wanting more from him though.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. He didn't really do enough for me
Yeah.
this episode. And then we're introduced to the daughters of Ferrix. Like they are shown up to Marva's like apartment or whatever, and they're cleaning it up.
Mhm.
But it's not clear what they do, what their mission is.
Exactly. And I still gave the immersive universe a good score because I thought it did well holding that mystery, but also world building, especially for Ferrix, and
Mhm.
like saying how when you die, you become a
brick.
part of the wall,
Yeah.
like, and you now look at that place differently. I was looking at that place differently afterward, just watching like, oh man, where are the bricks? Like, where are the dead
Yeah.
people that I
Yeah.
think I could point out? And that was cool, somber in that moment. But yeah, I don't know. What did y'all think? It was setting up things, but
Yeah, it didn't really, like I said, it didn't really move the story forward too much. One scene that kind of confused me, even though I've been advocating for more species diversity, we
Mhm.
did get that this episode, but that scene was really confusing and hard to understand. I just went back and rewatched it with the subtitles on, and I still don't really
Mm.
understand. Like, Melshi and Andor get slooped up in this
Yeah.
wet net kind of thing, and
Yeah.
these two aliens are like fishing.
Avery?
Yeah. and and then
I was
they
creeped out.
yeah,
I was very creeped
but then
out.
they're like, "Oh, are you escaped from prison? Like they're soiling our water and making it hard to catch fish." And they're like, "No, no, no. We're not doing that. That's the Empire." And they're like, "Well, yeah, everything's the Empire." But then all of a sudden they just like let them go and give them a free ride.
Yeah, he kind of kept rambling, and then he convinced himself to just, all right, we'll take you. Like,
Yeah.
I was kind of thrown off. I was like, wait a minute.
They
So
didn't
they're
do
okay?
anything to convince them. Like, they didn't persuade them
Yeah.
or anything.
And maybe we're supposed to view that, I don't know, that alien species, that race of like Narkinians, that one had a human like face, which
Yeah.
really creeped me out.
Yeah, it's
Kind of threw me
jarring,
off.
for
Not
sure.
like the other one. So I was like, what is going on here? Like,
You can't look human.
it's
ain't
just
human enough to be human.
It was something remiss, but it was cool to see some aliens.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't feel much for this episode. The show is so unbelievably frustrating for me.
Unbelievably frustrating. Could
Unbelievably
you expand on
frustrating.
that?
The whole show?
The whole show at this point.
Okay,
The whole show.
explain.
I just give up with it. Look.
Come on.
No, look. It's a fine show. Okay, it's the best Star Wars TV show, in fact. But when I go back and I look at our rankings for every single episode and all the ratings we've given, this show, I mean, it almost cracked an A on episode 6 with an 89.73.
Which I think was the I episode, if I'm remembering correctly.
I think so.
You're
and then
right.
87, 86, 83, and then 86 last week when I was gone. And now a 72.93%. So with this episode, I just felt like they were really ramping up just to continue 80 plus streak in a slow start. But I don't know. It's one of those things that you really kind of hate to see. The second to last episode, something you just don't care about. Like there was nothing in here that I'm like, oh my goodness, next week where we're in for it. And that's fine. Like there was some interesting stuff that you like. There's a lot of little things like, when you see about, what's her face's daughter, Mon Mothma's daughter, and stuff like that. It's neat to learn more about in a bigger episode with a lot more going on with that one detail. But that's what this whole thing felt like. Just a bunch of random details that may or may not pay off for having watched that episode. I don't know. But the whole episode felt like that alien interaction. You're like,
Huh?
all right,
Like, what?
that's
Huh?
cool. And like even the end, they're like, oh, he's in the tractor beam. Oh, I guess it has 5 levels. Oh, I guess he can like destroy the tractor beam. Oh, I guess he can like shoot lasers out of the sides and do all this stuff and just fly on by. Like, look, there's totally plausible. It's stupid, but totally plausible. Like
It was cool, and you know it.
it was
Yeah,
dumb.
It was. No, it was cool.
This big old ship
and maybe that's part of like
just took it.
to kind of get back to what you're talking about. I think that's part of the, I don't want to say fault, but fault of the format. Like the first 2 episodes, you kind of have to see those as together,
Yeah.
and they're setting up building. Whereas, the last 2 episodes, I think you're going to have to kind of see those as together. You talked about this last week, Amanda, predicted, part 1 of a part 2 type thing. And that's totally fine. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying there. I do think one fault was they shouldn't have put Luthen's awesome, badass laser ship in the trailer for this show. Like, at least the laser part. Because it was like,
We
when the
knew that was
trailer
coming.
happened-
I
yeah,
did
we knew.
not. I didn't
Yeah.
watch a single trailer for this show.
Hey, well, and that's
Nice.
funny that
It was the first
still
time.
didn't even do it for you.
And it was still boring.
Really?
It's just
you weren't
I was always
surprised,
like Jack
"Oh,
Sparrow.
lasers."
He's always gonna get away. He's got something for everything.
The minute I saw that Imperial interceptor ship show up, I was like, "Oh, this is when it happens." Like
Nice.
this is when
I
it'll
had
happen.
forgotten about that scene, and I thought that moment in the show was really exciting. It was the most exciting part of this episode for sure.
Mhm.
Seeing it kind of secretly outfitted with all of these bells and whistles, like the little explosive beads or whatever. Like that's a really smart design.
And it's cool he waited till the main tractor beam turned on.
Yeah.
That just
Agreed.
caused further
And
damage.
like I said, I like the show. It's frustrating, but you can be frustrated at
Yeah,
something
yeah.
and like it. I like this show genuinely, and that's why it was so bothersome to see. Like, I don't know. For me, Andy Serkis's performance was just knocked out of the park, and Andor continues to just be this milk toast character that you don't
I
care
really
about.
hate when you say that, especially when at the end of the episode, when he finds out that his mom is dead, you see his expression. We sit with his expression for a few seconds, and I feel like you could see the light in his eyes, like kind of drain. Like I felt his emotion in that moment, and I think it takes.
You did?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
like
really
nothing.
did.
I saw deflation.
I think you should check into something,
just
Brody.
deflated.
I felt nothing. I was like, all right, this guy's mom died.
I saw he was deflated, and for me, I think it works, especially for the show. We talked about like the gray complexity of the show and whatnot, and then I was thinking, oh, what if they like made the show even? I was thinking, what if they made the show a little more about his mother? Like she's an Andor as well, you know, and the show's just titled Andor. It's not Cassian Andor or whatever. But
he's just boring.
They didn't go that route, but it was kind of getting back to the nitty-gritty details that you're saying you might not want to watch, of like, just because they escape prison doesn't mean it's like, oh, happy-go-lucky, we're back right where we need to be. There's like still work and a journey escaping prison. You know, there's still hardships there. And Melchi's like, we got to tell the world now. Like, we got to split up.
And that was a great tie-in to, of course, how they're again reunited in Rogue One. We knew that they would have to separate at some point, and of course their odds are better at succeeding if they're not tied together. But the end of that episode closes out with him looking out into the sunset on the horizon, which was definitely a parallel to Scarif at the end.
Yeah,
great parallel.
That's cool.
I
was really excited when this episode ended, because then I got to watch this other TV show I like called Alone on Netflix, which is super good. So that
Wait a minute. You weren't jacked out of your mind when you saw Sergeant Linus Mosk show up on screen?
I thought of you. Buckets.
That's
fermenting.
It's great. He's work. He got a smelter job, sir.
Okay, so how did Mosk know where Andor was, or how did he hear about that? What is he doing?
So what did he say? He's back on Preox Morlana, and did he say how he heard about the death? I mean, he's there. He's closer to Ferrix, and so he probably got word of that. I wonder. I mean,
I think he probably just heard that Marvo is dead, and that
he knew they got separated. Like where he last left Cyril was where Cyril still was, kind of, you know, the same place. But yeah, it's just.
I would have preferred they would have like closed some strings with that too. Like, is he or is he not going to end up with the love of his life? And
Mosk?
No, Cyril.
The love of his life is Mosk?
Oh, yeah.
Deidre?
Yeah, there we go. That's what I know her as. Deidre.
Brody, it's a slow build-up to a good romance.
Look, man.
Might be season 2.
Look, I'm not asking for it to be like world-class like Twilight. I'm just asking.
World-class like Twilight.
I'm just asking that it like does something there. And you know, there's some sort of great climactic ending that you would have got this episode that would have like teetered into the next one, and you would have dealt with that. But look, it's fine. Whatever.
It feels like when like the analogy I'm coming up with on the spot is like when you're skateboarding down a half pipe. Like this one was where you kind of like used all the momentum and you're hanging on the ledge and you're like, okay, well that's not really a trick yet, but then they're about to like go swoop down and then be able to use all their momentum to
Yeah,
pull
I mean,
off, like,
maybe,
sick.
maybe they can
Nice.
stick the landing this next episode. But as if it's in of itself, it's only 72% for us. And I'm stunned Christian didn't give it 5 out of 5 stars for the characters, considering the fact that Sergeant Linus Musk was in this episode.
I typed it in, and then I was like, oh, I gotta do my job, think objectively about this show, blah blah blah. And then I was like, okay, that number.
There's so many times in life now I think of Christianisms that no one gets, that doesn't watch our show. I will say though, this about a week and a half ago, I did have someone approach me.
Oh no!
Straight up about our show. I've never met before. I'm not kidding. I don't think I've told
A stranger approached you.
Someone I have never met before
Wow.
did approach me. He comes up and he's like, "You're Brody from Duel of the Ranks," and I'm not gonna lie, I was like, "Oh man,
What?
this guy might ask for
Really?
a picture of me." I'm not kidding.
Or he might punch you in the face.
I was like, I don't know where this is going, but I was like, yes, I am. And he's like, wow, I listen to your show every week. And I was like, really? And he's like, man,
What?
I can't stand anything you have to say. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, man, Amanda's got these great opinions. This
really happened?
Yes, I'm not kidding. I would, 100. I'm telling you, 1,000%.
And did you ask him, like, does he know one of us?
No, he doesn't know any. From what I understood, he doesn't know any of us out of that
Wow.
conversation.
I bet he's psyched. He's getting mentioned
Shout out
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember
Shout
your
out
name,
to
buddy.
that person that hates
Yeah,
Brody. I
welcome.
love you.
Yeah, I don't remember your
Thanks
name.
for listening.
I said something along the lines, and it wasn't Andor. I don't know. I said something, but I love the show. Just not me. And I was like, hey, that's great. That's why we've got this diverse set of hosts with differing opinions, because we don't agree on almost anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like this old married trio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, speaking of,
No.
Luthen
No.
and
Speaking of
were
old
you?
married
I
trios,
did. Were you finished? I was gonna segue into
you-
the episode.
what we're
Into
here to
what we're
talk
supposed to
about.
talk about, yeah.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
The I loved the dialogue with Luthen and his assistant. What's her name? Clea.
Lydia or something.
Lydia.
Lita is the daughter, right?
Okay.
His
Yeah.
assistant Clea, I think, when she's like, you
Yeah.
should come or whatever, and he's like, let's not lose this piece to another collector. They're talking about Andor and just doing that very, I don't know, the hidden messaging with that and still carrying that on, keeping that going, and with what's her name, Vel, showing up. Someone pointed out, I saw online, that they had, even though those two were close together in the shop, and she's not being subtle, wanting to talk to Luthen.
And the girl is like, calm
jeopardize
down,
everything.
lower your voice.
Yeah, in those shots they're close, but in the actual shots they're separated as like individual frames, like that. They're not both included in one shot most of the conversation, and it's showing that they are. It makes it feel more awkward or tense and whatnot. And behind Clea, there's like the Star Killer thing, and behind Vel is like the Chandrilan gold and stuff, and just like using that for like part of the technical aspects of this.
That's cool.
It's still on point, even if it's more of a setup episode.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable. Like I'm not hating on it too much.
It's okay to hate on it too, man.
Listen, I don't want to just because it's boring doesn't mean it's bad. Right? There's a lot of good
That's our
things in
motto.
life that are boring.
Yes, that is a good thing to talk about, because I love Mad Men. Mad Men is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. That show's kind of boring if you think about it.
I've never seen it.
A lot of good shows are boring, so embrace the boring.
Or
Put that on a t-shirt.
are we talking like, because some are like, two shows could be really slow. One could be really boring and the other can be interesting.
Yeah,
And-
suspenseful.
Yeah, and just kind of slow cooks. We've talked about slow cooks with Andor before, but
I wouldn't say the show is boring, though.
no.
In my opinion.
no.
The show itself, no, it's the best Star Wars TV show to date.
Like Saw talking to Luthen this episode,
That was such an awesome scene.
right?
It also
was a
was
great
one of the
scene.
funniest scenes.
That was
That was
good.
a
I
great
like
scene.
where he was like, "Oh, who's giving you all my secrets?" Then he's like, "Tubes,
Yeah, I love that he said
tubes
that.
over there," and the guy's like, "What the hell? Like, I did, like,
He's
what
like,
are you
I
talking
would die
about?"
for you.
Yeah,
Tubes.
tubes.
I believe you're the
Nah,
Messiah.
You
I would die
know,
for you.
we all think of like Saw is a very like extremist character when it comes to Star Wars like alliances, I suppose. But this scene in particular made it seem like Luthen is way more of the extremist and like the I don't know, like rabid dog
Yeah.
almost of this. Like he actually scared Saw in that moment, being like, "Holy cow, can I even trust this guy?
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing?" That was a really great scene, and I really hope that we get more Saw Gerrera in the next episode and in season 2.
For sure. This scene, I'm glad you said that. It reminded me that Saw isn't quite the radical we see in Rogue One
Mhm.
yet.
Yeah.
And too often I would kind of like box him into that already because I've already seen Rogue One a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But that having Luthen filling more of that role in a subtle way and then just kind of fueling his paranoia. Now he's going to be even more paranoid further on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Saw.
And Luthen, I think he is sort of crushed by all of the weight of the rebellion. We've been seeing that episode after episode, him talking about how much he's sacrificed and how hard and how long he's worked to get this far in. And this is seemingly his first like actual interaction with the Empire when he has to like blow up that ship and everything. So now he's starting to have to show his face in the battles, and he was not ready to make the decision about Keegar. So by telling Saw, that takes the decision off of him and puts it on Saw's shoulders to be like, well, are you going to tell him or not? Because I do think that Luthen realizes killing 30 people plus Keegar, he kept on repeating. He was like trying not to undermine the amount of life that was being cost at his decision.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard decision for him to make, and he is starting to not be able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess I didn't see it as much as Lutheran kind of like shifting that responsibility, like putting it on Saw, more so as Saw is the one that told him, like, hey, I'm going to do this. And Luthen's like, oh, shoot, now I have to tell him. Like, if I'm going to be kind of selfless, like help him out and protect him, I should tell him. So I kind of saw it as that, but I also get, you kind of are sharing that. They both know, regardless, for Krieger.
So now they're both responsible.
And Saw now has that on him. And so, but yeah, that's what makes this show so interesting.
Mm-hmm. And also just how like a few episodes ago, Saw was like, hell no, I'm not working with that guy.
Yeah.
And then at the last minute, he was like, oh yeah, I'm totally in.
Yeah. I wonder what changed his mind.
Yeah.
Maybe
desperate for a win.
Yeah, maybe he just needs a quick dub.
Needs some supplies.
But you know what else is going to be quick? This next segment of our show.
What was our? We didn't even discuss our final.
I did. I said it was early on. I was like a 72.93%.
Okay.
Yeah. C-. But that hot takes time.
Don't be too proud of this podcast you've constructed. The ability to rank content is insignificant next to the power of an exceptional hot take.
It is hot takes time. And there's been some Twitter drama today. Some stuff went down on the Twitterverse. Our man Christian, who runs the fort there. What happened today? What are we talking about on the Twitter world?
Yeah, I may have inadvertently started a Twitter storm.
It doesn't take much.
It doesn't take much.
Doesn't
Just a
take
little
much.
drop of gasoline.
Whoosh.
Yeah, let me preface this. It's fine. Everyone, we're all here about opinions and debating hot takes and whatnot. Like, it's okay to get political with Star Wars as long as we're still like drawing it back to Star Wars and showing the effort that we're trying to reach to the other aisle and like understand each other's points of view. That's why I really enjoy talking with Amanda in particular.
Wow. Screw you too then, buddy.
You're welcome.
Jeez.
No, bro, you know I love you. So there was a tweet that mentioned Andor has been called to have a lot of leftist themes. It's, popular on Twitter or whatnot. I merely tweeted advising caution about statements like that, saying that a show like Andor is not leftist in themes, but it's also not conservatism either. And people really freaked out. I said, we can't polarize Star Wars fans politically where we don't need to. Let's seek unity. May the force be with us all. All right. So some people, it's not like we're a big Twitter account, not thousands of people dogged on it, but there are individuals out there who it really perturbed them, pissed them off. Saying,
I think using 2 double negatives was also just like, everyone was like, wait, what is he saying?
What's he actually saying? And so the whole point of that was, sure, you can pick out like certain political themes of it, but I think rallying behind a cause of like we've talked about, like anti-authoritarianism and like fighting tyranny and like fighting those things, standing up for what is right, isn't unique to just the left side of the aisle. And sure, there are things we disagree on, the left and the right, but I think once we start saying Star Wars is inherently political, it's not inherently left or inherently right. And I think once we start like preaching or saying that it is inherently one of these themes, then that can be polarizing to the fandom, to the community. And we can certainly talk about certain issues with it, but that really pissed off a lot of people on the Twitterverse. And it's just something that, if you're listening, you can check it out for yourself on the Twitter side of things, follow, see what's going on. But yeah, we welcome a lot of opinions, and that's kind of it's hard to synthesize that into one concise hot take.
Yeah, it is. And it opens a big old can of worms, because we know that George Lucas originally wrote Star Wars like about the Vietnam War and being like anti-Nixon and all of that kind of stuff. So that inherently like is inspired by real life politicians and political people.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying in that we can't just tell people, oh, if you should only look at this piece of media like this. That's not fair. I am unapologetically very, very left-leaning, but I also know that I don't have the answers to everything. And I also know that I believe that we all have way more in common with each other than we have differences.
Yeah.
So even though I don't agree with conservatism and whatever, I know that the most radical and best thing I can do to make the world a better place is to have dialogue about it in a respectful way and hear other people, because that's going to feed my empathy and my understanding for other people.
Exactly.
And that's just what we need more of. So even though I have a different point of view than you, I also don't think that my ideas alone can solve every problem in the universe. And I'm glad that our podcast gives us a platform to have a respectful debate, because I do think that Andor is more inherently left, but that's also because that's the perspective that I'm bringing to it.
Yeah.
Like when I see the prisoners escaping, I am like pro revolution. I am like anti-prison as far as it can go. Like I'm a prison abolitionist, but it's hard for me to then watch this and try to see how someone with an entirely different political point of view can watch the same thing but see themselves in it too.
Yeah.
But I think we can all just agree that we can't see things outside of our own point of view entirely.
For sure. You said it great. Like, we need to humble ourselves and understand that I don't have all the answers, and I can't come to a conversation thinking like you're inherently evil because of your views or whatnot. Because like that's not productive. You're not going to talk to a person respectfully if you just think that about them.
And Star Wars cannot be reduced to the rebels are Democrats and the Empire is Republicans.
Yeah.
Like it's just so much more nuanced than that. And I think this show proves that.
Yeah.
Like Mon Mothma is funding the rebellion, and she is a trust fund baby who has lived her life on a pillowy cushion of privilege and a lot of money, and all of a sudden she's like, oh my gosh, some of my money might not be found and all of my job might be taken away. Like when real life people have been experiencing torment and death, and those are their reasons for rebellion. So you can't say Star Wars is just today's left and right. I do see way more leftist themes in this personally, but that's just how I view it. Brody? Brody, you've been really quiet.
There's a retweet of this I really, really like that made my day. All right. Without going too deep into the political side of it, we have a quote retweet. All right. From someone
Those are always the best.
that says the name of this user is Spanish Communist X-Wing Pilot, which says, absolutely bleeping not. Bleep all conservatives. They don't deserve Star Wars. You are the Empire. And I cried laughing. Amanda's like, you got to check out this tweet. I lost it. Shout out to Spanish Communist X-Wing Pilot for that.
Shout out.
Oh my goodness, that was something. That was really something. No, I 100% agree. I think if you vote for anyone on the right, you should really just be limited to things like the Daily Wire. Matt Walsh's What is a Woman? I think you should stick with Narnia. Okay. And if you're on the left, you went on the left, you get all Star Wars, but you also get Marvel. So it's a mixed bag.
Oh no.
It's a mixed bag. I don't know. And if you're, that libertarian space, I don't know. What do we give them? Harry Potter?
Ooh, a lot of people are going to be turning libertarian this next election season.
Good. Good.
No, I do think that the political discourse on the internet has gotten so far away from conservative values used to be like, oh, we should take this tax money and use it to fund things like this, instead of what it is now, which is an extreme amount of conflation and polarizing politicians that are, I don't want to get too far into it, but all of the election deniers, etc. That is what is now taking over as the face of the Republican Party and the Conservative Party, which is not good for it. It diminishes reasonable people on the other side of my opinion, like you, to those inflated extreme ideas, and it doesn't help anyone have a nuanced opinion.
Yeah, and painting with broad brushes, it just shows you're not trying to make that effort of understanding where
unless you're Bob Ross,
because words
Bob Ross could do a lot with a broad brush.
No, I think if that opinion bothers you, then you need to view Star Wars and your relationships in that. If you see yourself as a leftist, then trying to communicate with people who aren't leftists to explain why the Empire, in your opinion, is doing more harm for them than good, to get them to join the rebellion.
I don't think you need necessarily look, at the end of the day, it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know why anybody even cares. I don't even know why they listen to our show. No, okay. Please keep listening to our show.
He told you why he listens, right?
Because they hate me. That's what it is. It's all about
Everyone loves to hate it, though.
Yeah.
Everyone loves to hate something. And that's why Duel of the Ranks is so great, because we give you 3 different co-hosts to hate for 3 different reasons.
Yes. So pick your battle.
Yeah, pick which one you hate, and it better be me.
And your identity
It's gonna be me.
It's gonna be me. Yeah, your identity we're not reducing you to your identity is just your political affiliation. There's so much more to people other than how they vote. Star Wars is political.
I don't know, man. Every time I look at you two, all I see is one elephant and one jackass.
All right.
Oh, well, with that note,
I look forward to hearing the comments on after this episode.
after this episode, I don't really know. I mean, it's just wild for me because knowing that Christian is such an extreme leftist, it's wild for me to see that, more people on the left are really just not rallying to support you in this instance. So that was quite unfortunate. No, I saw the comment. I saw what you said. I saw what you tweeted. And realistically, no, I think Amanda's point is on point. People like to hate. You put something out there. You said, look, it's not for the right. It's not for the left. Let's just all get along. And people are like, or we could kill you. And
Let's do that.
And that was the route they took. So you're here today. You're amongst friends. No one's going to let you die here tonight.
Yeah, we get to talk about Star Wars and put numbers to it here.
I know. And that's the best part. All the people that hated on you don't have a Star Wars podcast. They're not catching up to us where they're going to rank all the numbers and do all the podcasts.
They're not going to catch up to number 40.
They sure as heck ain't got us.
.com.
They ain't got a studio space here. And we're going to get to what you just said in a quick second. We have it. We've done it. We've been doing it. And as you just said, we are listed number 40 for science fiction on toppodcasts.com.
Wow.
Crazy.
Look at us. Who'da thunk? Not me.
Not me.
Not me.
But here we are.
And then weren't we also ranked 174th in science fiction for the country of Mexico?
We were.
Ranked in two
I guess
countries.
I am going to be rooting
Muchas
for Mexico in
gracias.
the World Cup.
2 countries. 2 of them. Not just one. Dos.
Yeah, dos.
Thanks, Mexico. Gracias. We're going to have a super fiesta over here. With that said, it's time for the last segment of the show. Force Ghost Charlie. What time is it?
This is the way to trivia time!
It is trivia time. Amanda, you got the question of the week.
Yeah, I do. And I've got like a tricky question for you. I went like kind of off the rails for this one. So hang on. Okay. Seeing Luthen's specialty ship, the Fondor, inspired me from another Star Wars series. Season 2, episode 7 of Star Wars Rebels is called Wings of the Master. And it features Harrison Dula getting to test drive this really insane special ship that has like special capabilities. And I wanted to see if you guys could remember what that ship is or guess by process of elimination if you haven't seen it.
Dang.
Yeah. It also had lightsabery kyber crystal type features. So is it, and mind you, this would be a modified version of each of these, a Jedi starfighter, a B-wing starfighter, a solar sailor, or a prototype B6?
Oof.
Prototype B6.
Is that the one?
I remember
looks
this.
like the
Mhm.
cool T. I really like that ship.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that one.
Prototype B6?
Yeah.
It is not.
Oh.
It is a B-wing starfighter.
That's what I was
Oh,
going to say.
nice.
But
Yeah.
I didn't.
Good
because-
question.
Yeah, I tried to
That was tied
like
in.
Luthen.
ties into
Yeah.
the Luthen ship.
Yeah.
Well, this was a fun episode to break down, an okay episode to watch, and an even better episode, I'm sure, to listen to if you're the audience.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if you liked this episode, go find us anywhere that you really want. We're pretty much everywhere. Amanda's doing TikTok, so if you hate that, argue with her there. If you hate our Twitter, well, that's all Christian. Don't hate any of us. And yeah, if you don't like the fact that audio doesn't always go out on Fridays, well, that's my fault. So I do my best. We've all do our thing here. Thanks so much for listening to Duel of the Ranks. We've got a lot of exciting stuff coming on the horizon. We are not, however, going to be here next Thursday at 6 o'clock Central, because it is something we celebrate here in the US called Thanksgiving. we've got that going on. So either we're gonna be out on Wednesday, Friday. We're gonna get you your recording. Don't freak out on me. That happened last week. Don't worry. You'll get your stuff. You'll get an episode to process. We'll talk about the finale. We're
Were
not gonna
people
leave you hanging.
freaking out at you?
Yeah,
Dang.
Amanda. Someone is-
So
she directed someone to freak out at me.
Friday or Saturday comes around and my husband is like, "Hey, where's that episode at? I've been waiting for it." And I was like, "Well, Brody always is quick to mention when I haven't remembered to put a TikTok up. So maybe you should go text him and ask him to do his
Nice.
job."
Yeah, he
And
did too.
he did. And I was like, "That's my man."
It was like
Nice.
midnight, and I'm like, I gotta get to it.
The
Jake,
fans are demanding.
Love that
it.
guy.
and so I did, and I still haven't listened to the whole episode, just the beginning where like Christian calls me out as a hater, and I'm like, screw this guy, and I just
Did you like my intro too? That was a lot of fun. I can see why you like doing that.
It is a lot of fun.
Maybe we'll take turns.
Yeah, or I can just like
Oh, I also forgot to say Happy Life Day, everyone.
Happy Life Day. Good thing
Today's
you
Life-
remembered.
I know. I knew that before the episode started,
it's Life Day,
and it is Life Day.
A buddy of mine texted this morning, "Are you celebrating?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Life Day." And all. I'm like, "Oh, geez, yeah."
Yeah, I'm doing a Star
Yeah, I'm
Wars
doing a Star Wars
podcast.
podcast.
Yeah,
There you go.
special Life Day episode.
Special Life Day episode for you. This is why we do this. We do it for you. Well, that's another episode in the books. It's been a lot of fun. Next week, we are going to break down the finale of Andor. Super excited to do that. Yeah. And like I said, we are number 40 in the US, according to toppodcast.com for science fiction podcasts. So we're doing things. We're going to keep putting out YouTube clips. Seems like people like those. Had like each one of those had like 100, 200 views. That was fun.
Clips are cool.
Clips are cool. We're going to keep putting those out. Y'all like them. We'll keep putting them out. We're doing more TikToks.
Yeah, we're always open to feedback and your own hot takes too.
And we're going to continue to put out, we're not going to tell you which host is tweeting, but we're going to continue to take turns and put out extreme Republican, extreme Democratic, extreme, all sorts of political views to keep you on your toes with who's got
Keep
the
you on
Twitter
your
that
toes.
day. It's
I
going to be a
mean,
lot of
it'll
fun.
boost our listening for sure.
They're going to be real confused. They're gonna
Real
be like,
provocateurs.
Who are these Duel the Rings people and where do they actually stand? Well, we don't even know. So with that, we'll see you on next week's episode as we break down the finale of Andor. It's been a fun episode, y'all. Catch you then.